Hello and welcome to Monmouth in Focus, a program about the services and functions of Monmouth County government. I'm Cynthia Scott, your host for Monmouth in Focus. And today we are joined by Gateway National Recreation Area Superintendent Jennifer Nersesian and Gerard, Glaser, who is the co-chair of the Fort Hancock 21st Century Advisory Committee. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure to have you both here on Monmouth in Focus. Lots to talk about. First of all, let's talk a little bit about what Fort Hancock is for the viewers who don't know.
Sure. Well, Fort Hancock is out at Sandy Hook, which is a part of Gateway National Recreation Area. Folks around here probably know it for the beaches, for the natural resources. It's also got amazing history out there. Fort Hancock's also a National Historic Landmark District for the significance of the military history, from the Revolutionary War all the way up through the Cold War. And we've got encampment there of military buildings that are absolutely beautiful. Built in the late 1800s, early 1900s, about 70 buildings in need of some TLC and restoration that we're really looking to partner with the community on bringing back to life.
Exactly. So lots of history there as well.
Absolutely.
I'm sure there are historic landmarks there. What is the goal here for Fort Hancock and I guess a major redevelopment project that you anticipate?
Well, the advisory committee was commissioned by the Secretary of Interior to help the Park Service engage the community with a process for restoring vibrancy to the buildings at Sandy Hook. So there are about 20 representatives of the business community, academic community, public, private sector, nonprofit, all trying to help the park figure out the best way to redevelop these fantastic structures at Sandy Hook.
Sure. This seems like it's a huge effort with a lot of agencies involved here. Where do you begin?
Well, we're taking it in a phased approach. We're going out now with a pilot project to, we're issuing a request for proposals to generate some interest in bed and breakfasts, in nonprofits moving in, and in some private residences and/or offices as a first phase to encourage some redevelopment, start the process working, and then build on it from there, go out from there with more buildings.
Right. So a lot of these buildings now are older, and like you said, they need a lot of repair.
Yes.
They're not occupied?
They're not occupied.
Okay. None of them are occupied. So what's the goal here? Do you want to lease the buildings to private entities?
Yes. What we're doing is offering long-term leases in exchange for the investment people will make in the building's rehabilitation.
And are you looking for businesses? Are you looking for developers to build homes there? Or?
We're looking for, it won't be any new construction. It's really focused on the preservation of the existing buildings.
Right.
But we're looking at all kinds of uses. I mean, really one of our goals here is, it's certainly the preservation of the buildings and the history that's out there, but also to create a whole new vibrant community out there.
Right, a facelift in a sense.
Absolutely.
But to maintain that sort of history that goes with it. What about restaurants? Restaurants as well?
Not in this first phase, but certainly down the road, we'll look at that whole complementary suite of uses that could happen out there.
How many buildings would you be able to potentially lease?
Well, we would like to see at least 35 of the major structures rehabilitated. As Jen said, the park is focusing on making 6 buildings available in this first pilot phase, so that we can see what the best uses are and what the level of community interest is.
I guess, in a sense, a little bit at a time is the way you want to go in this.
Yeah, we'll learn from the process, see what works and what we can build upon as we go out with the next round of buildings then.
And obviously, Gateway National Park is not just here in Sandy Hook in Monmouth County, but it's also in Staten Island, like you said, Jamaica Bay.
Yes.
So are they under redevelopment projects as well? And can you take some of that information and stuff that you've learned from those projects and apply them to the one here?
Certainly there's things from those areas that we can learn and apply here. There's also leasing projects that we've done in any number of other national parks, from Golden Gate National Recreation Area to Fort Monroe to Lowell National Historical Park. So we've got some good examples to draw from and inform what we're doing out here.
And it's such a tough task, especially when you have these buildings that have so much history to them. There's not as much wiggle room in that sense, correct? When you're dealing with a historic landmark, and sometimes you don't want there to be.
Yeah, well, our primary goal again is to preserve that history, but in reality, the best way to preserve a building is to have it used, to have somebody in there who's maintaining it and cares about it. And so we're really looking for that kind of partnership and collaboration and seeing how we can bring these buildings back to life.
I think the park is very much trying to preserve what they call the character-defining features of these buildings, and that's what makes them so special. But recognizing that, we also understand that there are extraordinary costs associated with rebuilding these structures.
Right,
So
right.
the park's struggling to find that right balance between maintaining those historically significant features
Right.
and finding people who can afford to move into some of these structures.
And in the past, in other locations, or have you leased buildings in the past?
Yes.
Yes.
We do lease buildings.
And I guess from that experience, you'll apply that to
Absolutely. And as we go out with this first round of RFPs for Sandy Hook, we'll learn on the ground in this area too what we need to know to expand the process.
And the location is so beautiful there.
It certainly is.
You know?
It's breathtaking. You know, from the views of the ocean
Yeah.
to the beaches, the maritime forest, the recreational opportunities from kayaking, seining, swimming. To the history there, which is just so significant, and the buildings themselves are gorgeous. I mean,
Right.
it's a beautiful environment to be in.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know what that is. They may be driving through Sandy Hook, and I don't know how far they can get to see those buildings, but I'd imagine somewhat up close, correct?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And people say, well, some people might be like, well, what are those buildings? That's really.
And as a part of this process, we'll be inviting the public in to take a look at these, and we'll do some site visits. Folks who may be interested in bidding on some of the buildings, will have the opportunity to see them up close and get through them.
I'd like to say that one of the key things the park's trying to help to do with this is to build a vibrant community, a new set of interests and community individuals who can help build this place. And with that, I should say that there is a community there. There are a number of buildings that are very heavily used by nonprofit organizations. So we would like to be sure people understand that we have a significantly valuable infrastructure, both in terms of cultural opportunities and physical infrastructure that we can build from.
Right.
Absolutely. We've got MAST out there, NOAA, the Sea Grant Consortium, aside from the Park Service itself, and we use and occupy a lot of the buildings.
Right.
And we're really looking to build on that community and the opportunities it brings with it.
Sounds like a great endeavor. Best of luck to both of you on this.
Thank you very much.
That is all the time we have for this segment of Monmouth in Focus. And for more information on this subject, of course, go to visitmonmouth.com. I'm Cynthia Scott. Have a great day, everyone.